Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is FFanatics. Welcome back to F1 Fantasy Weekly, and if we miss anything that may be kind of big news in fantasy, we are actually recording this the week before because you're going away for a week.
Yeah.
So have a good trip away when you will be away when this video comes out. Irrelevant to you guys watching at home, but
fun fact there.
Just a fun fact for you guys for F1 Fantasy Weekly. But yes, we're not here to talk about Stephen's holiday. What we are here to talk about is F1 Fantasy Weekly. So we are here with a preview for the Russian Grand Prix, and actually it will be very interesting in terms of kind of streaks and stuff, the top picks and people to avoid and not to avoid. Avoid and to put in your team, because lots of streaks coming into play this week or planning for the race after, if that makes sense. Yeah. Certainly on that front. But yes, hopefully you enjoy that. And F1 Fantasy is the game where you get 100 million budget to pick 5 drivers, 1 constructor, and you kind of compete against your mates or the world. And if you're not playing it already, you really should be, because it adds a little bit extra to an F1 weekend. And just join the crowd.
Just join the crowd.
Join the crowd. That's it. That's the pitch.
Add a
join the crowd.
That's a little
peer
extra.
pressure.
Join the crowd.
Join the crowd. We're the crowd.
I do.
Join the crowd. The Fanatics crowd.
When like a couple of your drivers DNF, it takes a little bit away.
It ruins the race.
It doesn't always add a little extra.
It sometimes crushes you to the extreme of you go. It would be really nice to see George Russell score the points, but because I switched him out for Roman Grosjean, I really hope that he doesn't get points.
Russell.
You see, that's the type of mindset that fantasy puts you in. You forget about the real life aspect and you live in the fantasy world. Bam!
But join the crowd.
Join the crowd. Well, that's a pitch and a half.
Bam.
We should probably talk about F1 Fantasy now. So, top picks. The usual.
Well,
this is a big top pick, isn't it?
There's 3 guys on streaks: Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, Max Verstappen. So you can't really go with all 3, any of the 3, because they're all on race streaks. But Lewis is on a race streak and a quali streak, so you probably should just pick him if you can afford him.
And not just pick him. My advice is to mega driver him, because after the first 9 races, you've now got another wild card, another mega driver to use. Lewis Hamilton on those streaks. You don't know how the rest of the season could be. It could be a later on one that it could work better and still have those streaks. So kind of to hold that mega driver, it may be in a better situation. But I really do think in this situation, just play it safe, mega driver Lewis.
Yeah, well, this is one we don't really agree on, because I think you should hold off. Valtteri Bottas, he's got to win another race at some point in 2020. It's got to be Sochi, right? I think Valtteri's going to win. So, I say hold off the mega. I'm not going to mega. I know it's a bit more risky. Lewis could run into a bad patch of DNFs, but I think it's better to hold off. I think Valtteri wins today on Sochi.
I think Lewis is in. I want to wrap up this championship as quickly as possible and to equal Michael Schumacher's record. And of course, it would equal him with Michael Schumacher's all-time win record of 91 wins with the Sochi Grand Prix. I just think the records will propel Lewis on to get the job done, even without a Valtteri exchange. I know Bottas is strong in Sochi, but I just see Lewis getting the job done. So I'm going mega. Stephen says don't mega. Who will be right? That'd be interesting. But obviously Mercedes as well, constructors. There's no even point. It's such a pointless part of... And it's such a shame, actually, that, you know, because the constructors could be such a really interesting one. And hopefully from 2022 onwards in the game, it's going to be brilliant. But at the moment, it's just like, don't bother with Mercedes because you lose so many points.
Well, even last year, Ferrari were a decent pick.
Yeah.
But this year it's just Mercedes.
Yeah.
Not even Red Bull aren't even close.
No.
They had one good race, and that's been it.
Pretty much. Yeah, on that front. But other top picks. Who else is on a race streak, Stephen? Or on streaks?
Carlos Sainz. He's just on a race streak, I believe.
Cool.
But Daniel Ricciardo
is on a race streak the following week.
Race and quality streak for the following week. But yeah, so you may want to take Ricciardo out and then bring him in next week for Carlos Sainz, because that's the midfield, the top picks of the midfield. Yeah, Carlos Sainz is on a race streak. He's shown quality this season. He's just been unlucky with reliability issues. So if he finishes the race, I think he'll be one of the best picks in the midfield.
And a question here.
Mm-hmm.
Pierre Gasly, if you can afford it, in terms of things, would it be worth now? We saw obviously in Mugello that Lance Stroll got the upgrade ahead of Sergio Perez. Makes sense now that Sergio Perez is going to be leaving. Perez obviously the stronger driver out of the two, although Lance has done very well this season. Is it now time that we consider taking Perez's out of teams and going away from double racing points and bringing in Pierre Gasly for that other role? Oh, Steven's done that.
I think quite a few people have done that. I think we said that a couple of previews ago.
Might have done. But I'm still double racing points.
Still, I think they're just. I think after Spa, I lost faith in Racing Point being the third best team, and so after that, it's never been double Racing Point again.
Never again. But yeah, and also Gasly's performances have just been incredible.
Yes, obviously he got unlucky in Mugello, but qualifying wasn't great for him. But yes, he's a great pick for the price he is. And yeah, Sochi should do decent at.
Solid. Yeah, absolutely fantastic on that one. But that probably rounds up the topics. It's between Grosjean or Russell, whoever's going to go. I think Grosjean consistently, he somehow this year is just managing to finish races.
Literally, yeah.
So I think if he can survive Mugello, you've just got to put him in. He didn't survive Sochi last year, has to be said. I think he was in a Gio Ricciardo sandwich, but he qualified incredibly well in Sochi last year. I think he got that Haas into Q3 from memory. So yeah, I think Grosjean would be my pick over Russell for this weekend. Grosjean he just seems to be they're about neck and neck pretty much for the points. I think George is slightly more in terms of bigger performances, but yeah, Grosjean just seems that solid. If you're still on that cheaper pick, obviously if you're making the big bucks, then you can have a much more well-rounded midfield team.
Yeah.
Ones to avoid this weekend, the usual Ferrari out, Albon out.
Well, touching on the Racing Point thing, I think Checo has to go out. Because I think Lance Stroll, because I know Otmar wasn't too sure if they could get, because after Lance binned it, they weren't too sure if they could get the upgrades for both cars again. So, well, for both cars. So they may just build the upgrade parts for Lance's car again.
Yeah, and it wasn't a driver error from Lance, so it's not like, Lance, you're going to have to take this on the chin because you blew the chance. His rear tyre gave up in one way, whether it was brake or...
Debris, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
something blew up and then everything blew up.
Yes.
And then the car was blown up.
God, this week, just side topic off completely. I saw a video circulating on Twitter in F3 that Lance Stroll had a crash.
Yes, I saw that.
That's crazy. That one, he literally just...
He was in the air.
Yeah, that was a horrible crash, and thank God, obviously, he was all right and okay and landed okay on it. But yeah, mental. But anyway, that was on a Lance Stroll crash. But yeah, I'd agree with Checo. Probably now you're looking to get him out.
Yeah. Because I think the upgrades are just going to Lance, and then Checo will get them a race later. And then even at that point, Lance may get another upgrade. So just on car performance, Lance is going to have a better car, which means he's going to beat Checo, which means all the team points are going to go to him, and Checo is going to fall behind.
Yeah.
Safe bet, get rid of Checo.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. And I also think those who jumped on the Giovinazzi when he obviously massively increased in price, I think if you still have a Gio in your side or a Magnussen in your side, Magnussen we've spoken about before, he just, bad luck seems to follow him everywhere he goes this season. So although he has potential to score good points, especially for his price, he just seems to find a way to DNF that isn't his fault. And Giovinazzi just is too unpredictable. He could have a great performance, or he could have a performance that gets you massive minus points. So they're just kind of two unsturdy guys. But turbo picks.
Turbo picks, we mentioned Sainz with the race streak, so that's an extra 10 points just purely on the streak, if it works out. Other than that, if you're not going for Sainz, if you can't afford him because he's the most expensive one there, it's difficult. It's difficult to tell who will do well at Sochi because it's a track we can't really compare to previous races this year. And all the teams have been so up and down on what tracks they're good at and what tracks they're not good at. It's so difficult to predict.
I would have said from what they were saying that this track should favour McLaren and Renault should do poorly at. But I don't know which way that's going to go, realistically. But I think the 10 points, obviously, like we said, swings it his favour. But if it was a choice between Ricciardo and Norris, I'd probably go Ricciardo.
Just on quality,
yeah. Just on the ability of the driver.
Yeah.
And AlphaTauri, we got another Scooby, but I would suggest that AlphaTauri would do quite well this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're turbo worthy for Pierre Gasly.
No.
The only other one is the Racing Points or Lance Stroll.
I don't know if he's historically done well at that. I don't know. Again, I don't know where that Racing Point car is, essentially. It's technically more downforce and a better aero package. You've
got to think how Mercedes did last year.
And Ferrari did better.
Yeah, but Ferrari had the strong,
but they blew up and
engine.
Mercedes won.
Yeah. So Lance Stroll could be a good turbo pick.
Could well be. But
I think Sainz, Ricciardo, Stroll are my 3 top turbos.
I think that's fair.
Our top turbo picks.
Our top turbo picks now. So that's the kind of the top picks, the people to avoid, the turbo picks. Now it's our teams.
Our teams.
Stephen, who's going to be in your team this week, or do you want me to go first while you think about
it? You go first whilst I think about it.
Okay, right. So I have Lewis Hamilton, and I will be, as previously discussed, mega drivering him for this weekend. And then my thoughts are playing around with, I have Ricciardo, but I'm going to look to switch him out for Carlos Sainz and have Romain Grosjean, Lance Stroll, and then I'm also going to try and take out Sergio Perez and put in Pierre Gasly with the race streak. Yes, I won't take advantage of having Carlos Sainz on the race streak essentially, but by turboing, hopefully I counter that. So taking a -10 hit, going for a double substitution, just to try and level it out in there, rather than using the wild card and saving the wild card for later on in the season, where it might be quite a good one to kind of switch up from there. And obviously Mercedes as constructor.
Solid. It sounds solid. I'm probably just going to be a bit boring and swap Checo out for Lance Stroll. So Lewis, Stroll, Ricciardo, Gasly, Grosjean, and Mercedes. Because I can't afford Sainz. So there we go.
Perfect. Easy. Happy days.
So it may just be a little bit boring and go for that.
There we go. A little bit boring and he's gone for that. But yeah, that's it for our teams. But we do actually have a rating, so this week sees the return of...
Go for it. I always so nearly go for it, and I'm like, no, it's your one.
It's my thing. It's my thing because it's time for Rate Your Team. So a regular on Rate Your Team, I think Rox just loves hearing our opinion on our team. I think she's in search of that illustrious 5 out of 5 team. So, here's a big one.
Could this be the one?
Hamilton. And she's going to Mega Driver him. Sainz, Turbo.
Yep, nice, very nice.
If he totally sucks in free practice, though, then we'll swap Norris or Ricciardo.
Okay, yep.
Perez, Stroll, Gasly, Merck.
So sticking with the double racing point.
I mean, but you're essentially saying that Perez there is your Grosjean equivalent.
Yeah, he's the cheapest one there, isn't he? Nice. I do think Racing Point are going to do well, so maybe double Racing Point not too bad. Although we said avoid Checo. 5.
It's a 5 Kimmy's out of 5.
5 Kimmy's out of 5.
I can't see anything wrong with
when
that.
When Checo's your cheap option, I guess you can't really criticise.
Yeah, it's literally, and she's got the option to go for the kind of turboing Sainz as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a brilliant thing. Rox has played the markets, making the money.
Yep.
Certainly has. And it has paid off big time with the dollar she's made.
Wow.
Perfect. Bang. 5 out of 5 for a quick rate your team.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's leaves us only one place to end. And that is, of course, a Kimi moment of the week. And, of course, now that Kimi Raikkonen, he has got a couple of wins under his belt in the Ferrari Powered Championship.
Yep.
So I thought, why not take a look back at Ferrari's last win with a Finnish driver in 2018.
Bam! 2018.
The US Grand Prix.
USA Grand Prix.
Bang! What was it? Matthew McConaughey was like 6 world champions for Lewis Hamilton. He was like being a massive Lewis Hamilton fanboy. Do you remember in the crowd? It's like, go Cowboys! But yeah. Sorry, just random that. That's irrelevant to the Kimi Raikkonen story. But anyway, the Kimi moment of the week is Kimi Raikkonen's last win. He'd obviously been announced that he would be leaving Ferrari and he'd be joining Alfa Romeo at the start of the 2019 season, making way for the young Charles Leclerc. But it seems like that Kimi was just like, Sebastian couldn't win the title, weight was off his shoulders. Brilliant performance at the US Grand Prix. It really was a fantastic race, and it was brilliant to see Kimi Raikkonen on that top step. And I believe Kimi was like, yeah, fucking finally.
Hasn't he got the record for longest gap between wins? Yep. So, yeah.
I think it's between pole positions and races. He holds both records.
Fan.
Because Kimi is Kimi. But
people thought he was... he wasn't winning.
He was done.
Yeah, but it was tactical. He was getting the records.
Yeah.
He knew
Kimi was going for the records.
Kimi could be a 10-time world champion, but he wanted the record for longest gaps.
Absolutely.
Wins.
That's the smart choice there. Well, look, Kimi Raikkonen is an incredibly talented, one of the most naturally gifted F1 drivers to race within the past 2 decades. And it was brilliant to show that at the age of, what would he have been back then? 38, I think he would have been.
Yeah.
At that stage, he might have even crossed over to 39 at that stage. But yeah, amazing from Kimi Raikkonen. It was a brilliant drive in his last Grand Prix, beating Lewis Hamilton. And I think a charging Max Verstappen also in that race was having a good time. But yeah, Kimi found a way of getting that victory after people had written off, thought he was just going in retirement. Bang! One last high moment at the top step. And hey, in some crazy world, Pierre Gasly's won a Grand Prix this year in an AlphaTauri. So it would be an incredibly crazy world if Kimi Raikkonen somehow wins in an Alfa Romeo. But
just need to employ us as the managers of
Alfa
Romeo. We get
Canada 2021. See you there, Kimi. We're going in for the win. God, unbelievable. We just need a bit of rain. And we'll nail it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But there is your Kimi moment of the week, and that is your F1 Fantasy Weekly. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed and liked the tips that we've given you for this week. I say we never claim to be F1 Fantasy experts, but we're probably guys who play look too much into the game in terms of point scoring. So we can definitely tell you there. The market plays. I know we don't probably play the market as much as you could do, but I
Don't
suppose
play it at all.
we're the casual to the serious element to it.
Yeah.
We're not full blown serious into it on the kind of money managing the kind of stock market style rises and drops in prices, but hopefully you enjoy the advice.
But if you want 5 Kimmies out of 5, that's what you got to do.
That is what you've got to do. We got to be harsh on those Kimmies out of 5s, and we respect the effort and the time and effort that those people have gone in. So congratulations, Rocks. But anyway, that's it from us. If you're new around here or you haven't done so already, Stephen,
You can like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
ding it. That one's for you, Rocks. So for now, UF1 fans, keep racing.